right, Michael, Zach. Hey, congratulations for Smiling Friends.
Well, thank you so
Thank you very
much.
much.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank you for
thank you.
having us on.
Yeah.
Hey, so how does it feel that this is being showcased? What this weekend on
Yeah,
Adult
It
yeah.
feels
Swim?
very crazy. It's been such a
Surreal, very
long thing
surreal.
it's been like 2 or 3 years like working on this just from conception to now. So it's very nice for it to finally be done and coming out.
Yeah.
So tell us what originated this, this concept, this idea of Smiling Friends.
Michael,
Zach,
you
do you
would
want to?
you would have given a little.
I can do a brief, and then you can jump in if I've gotten it all wrong.
Yeah.
Zach and I both individually came from YouTube when we did like animations individually, and like kind of that was like around. I started around 2012, so I was a late bloomer in animation. But we met online, and we both had a similar kind of goal to have an animated show because we grew up with South Park and loving all those kind of shows, and we wanted to make a show where we could just do anything, like any funny idea that we came up with. So yeah, like it's just the idea is like there's a base concept where they go out and help people smile, but we can also just put in like fun sketches or anything like that, like just weird moments. Like the idea is like any clip from the show can go up on YouTube and act the same way as our old YouTube videos that we used to make. Like they can stand on their own. So
Yeah.
yeah,
It
that
also
was the
makes
idea.
sense in a bigger story. Yeah. No, I agree. Yeah. The whole we had kind of like we wanted to make the show before we even really knew what the show was, if that makes sense. Like it was kind of it wasn't like we drew one of the characters and we're like, that's the show. It was more like we kind of had a rough idea of, like Michael said, we were like, well, we want to do a show where we can do anything. And we love shows where it's just kind of dedicated to comedy and everything's cyclical, you know what I mean? So like all the stuff in the 80s was like sitcom family stuff. And then out of that, you got, the stuff out of the 90s, which was kind of tearing that down. And I think we had a really good run. I think we're still going, and I love to see it. But animation went from, every episode is a standalone. It's a lot of Western adult stuff is comedy stuff. And so it was just kind of one-off stuff, Beavis and Butthead and South Park and those sorts of shows. And you had King of the Hill and stuff, but for the most part, it was like episode to episode, one-off stuff, comedy. And then probably the last 10 years, a lot of animation became what do you call it, like story driven and had arcs and stuff and I think that was really good. It breathed a lot of fresh air into stuff. But we feel like, okay, well, that's been done a lot now, not in a bad way. You can still do it really well. Just depends on how good the story is. But we thought, well, because everything is cyclical, it'd be good to see something from like the 90s or with that mindset of the 90s and the early 2000s of it's just an episode. You can just jump into season 3 and watch and enjoy it. And it's a good little, I don't know, a good sandbox, I guess. I don't know. That was kind of the spawning of the show.
So what did you guys? How did you guys come up with Charlie and Kim? Was that the first thing that you had to come up with the show first?
No, that was so went through a few different like iterations. We were throwing around different ideas for a while when we were going back and forth with Adult Swim, and Pim and Charlie. I think that clicked so well because it's so close to our personalities. At least when we're riffing off each other, when Zach and I are improvising, we kind of fall into those voices naturally. And I think before then, we're creating characters, and they were a bit too distant from what we'd just normally improvise. And it really clicked when we were like, oh yeah, okay, like Zach and I can just like improvise for like 2 minutes back and forth, and those can be characters. And it really worked with like a little, like little Pim next to Charlie. Like just those two characters seemed to work next to each other, and like their voices matched their designs. So it felt like it just happened naturally.
Yeah, I think they were some of the earliest ones. We knew the idea was, because the way we try to do it is we'll just draw a bunch of characters. Like we probably cycled through hundreds of characters, just funny drawings. And then sometimes you get a design every once in a while. It's rare. You obviously can't do it every time. But to us, we felt like, okay, those two characters next to each other make sense. And then it was a whole extra process of figuring the colors out. Like there's a flash file that Michael and I worked on that is just like literally the evolution. It's like the fish to the man. But it's for Smiling Friends, where it's like one frame, one slice of the Flash and the Flash timeline is just a bunch of crappy drawings. They kind of get more and more close to the end of the end product. And well, yeah, like Michael said, I would say the characters like aren't to us, but it's good to have a character you can easily improvise as that's close enough where you can kind of, you don't have to, it is still acting. It's not just us riffing, but it's something as close to that as possible. Was when we realized, oh, the designs are a little bit, they're colorful and they're strange looking. They're not like people, but they don't also talk like crazy.
Yeah.
Hey, what's going on? It's me. I'm a car. It's like that's not really. So
it's also a classic duo too. Sorry, it's like the not the, like it's like the odd couple thing. Like the positive one and the negative one. It just seems like even if that's a bit tropey, I think it works here. It's like it definitely works when we improvise and we act with each other.
It's a good vehicle. I think so.
When people watch something like this and see these characters, what do you guys try to describe, these characters as? Because some of these characters are very unique, and some of them look human looking.
Well, that was our whole thing. Like coming up with it, like we're big on like lore and like world building, and the main characters are called critters, so they're not actually human beings. And there's different like kinds of critter. Like if you're a different, like the pink critter is different from the yellow critter and different to the red critter, and like they all kind of like live. They're kind of the same species, I guess. But we've also got so we've got humans, human characters, the critters, which are the main characters in the show. But we've also got mythical creatures, which are like goblins and witches and fairies and stuff, and they're like the third group.
And I think it feels pretty segmented. It doesn't feel like you're not like maybe every once in a while you'd see like a witch or a goblin or something in the background. But yeah, that to us that was, in fact, I think that was pretty early is when it started to click. It was like because a lot of shows did the animal people thing, which again I'm not dogging it. I think it's a really good. I loved watching like Ugly Americans when it came out. There was like you get like a weird guy with an antenna. I was like, that's great. That's a cool thing. So to us, it was really cool to kind of land on, oh, they're just colorful blobs. And it's like, no, wait, they're not people. That is what they are.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, we've never seen something that doesn't feel too derivative. But it's like, it's that same kind of a beat. It's that same kind of a theme, I guess, where Ugly Americans or BoJack Horseman or any of these shows where you kind of have things that are not people living with people, but it's also not like, oh, it's a demon or it's a, living next to a person, or it's not an ant head. It's they're just like Michael said, critters. And basically making a show that where we can, like we said earlier, where we can set a bunch of things up. So yeah, they are officially canonically critters, and we do have a whole. Michael said it. We are in the lore. We want to make this isn't giving away too much. We have a Google Doc where we just kind of write down our ideas for this, but all the background of what the world is, but. Literally none of that is in the show, which I think makes it better that only we know the weird, this happened. And then like, I think there's kind of politics, like not literally politics, but there's sort of a dynamics between the people and the enchanted, the mythical creatures and the critters. There's kind of they all kind of interact with each other. And even amongst
there's definitely rivalries. There's rivalries.
Yeah, even amongst the humans, it's like you've got the rotoscope humans and you've got the 2D humans and you've got the live action humans. So you've even got little factions within the bigger things.
Yeah. The idea is you can just draw anything. Like it's having that is like a freedom. Like you can draw like a weird human who works in the show, or like an alien type character still works in the show, or like a live action person. Like it's just to free up any kind of creativity, really.
Yeah, and this is the last thing I'll say on that is basically I hope that by the end of when people watch the whole season, that by the end of it, I hope that the average person watching it will just kind of go, okay. Anything can happen in the show. I'm going to turn my brain off and not try to predict, because we also want it to feel good. We can't, it's like, you want it to feel like, oh, there's a live action character, but that works here. It's not, it should feel pretty seamless, but even if it's a little bit jarring, but it should all feel like it's part of the world. But anyways, that was the kind of the logic behind that, I guess.
I guess we'll have to keep on watching to find out more. Now, for each of these episodes, are they all standalone episodes that they're just trying to make people smile, or they're going to be like an overarching theme?
In season 1, there's no overarching thing. Like Zach said, this show's pretty much, for now, it's designed to tune in at any time and you don't really need to know much about the show. It's just like it's still a standalone episode that you can enjoy. Hopefully, like there's no like big story or anything like that for now.
And I would also say that I think there are little things that if you watch the show, you'll go, oh, that was referenced again, or things we kind of pick back up. But it's mostly that's kind of character stuff. But yeah, ideally, it's just to be like the point of the show, and people will watch it and react differently. But the point from us was to just make a show that you could get off work and you could go make dinner and you could sit down and you could just watch a little nice bite-sized little snack and just laugh at it, or enjoy it, and that's it. It's kind of like popcorn. But I love popcorn. I love my favorite thing to do is just sit down and like watch an old episode of a great animated comedy show, just like laugh or enjoy for 15 or 30 minutes. So that's what we tried to create. And I love like one of my favorite shows ever right now is Better Call Saul. So I do really appreciate the arc stuff. I think if we had a bigger format than 11 minutes, I think it would probably be a little bit more conducive. But like we had to cut stuff from pretty much every episode, like not a major amount, but like trimming a lot of it. So maybe as the show evolves, we'll find a way to do that if we think of a really interesting or funny way to do that. But yeah, for now it's just standalone episodes.
So how many episodes are we planning for season 1?
So it's going to be, we've already made the pilot, which is out, and we made 7 additional episodes, so it's 8 all up that will be season 1.
And this is the crucial thing people got to understand. It's so important. The pilot's episode 1. The pilot's episode 1, people. You got to, it ain't just a pilot. Like, but so yeah. So ideally, the number we would do is if we got to make more seasons. We love 8 because if we had more resources, we could make 8 pretty quickly. And also, we feel like it's I love Curb Your Enthusiasm does 10. I think around 10 is a good number where you can just make them quickly and every episode kind of feels like it's its own little theme. But yeah, so 8 in season 1, including the pilot.
That is great. And why is 11 minutes such a special number to you guys for something like this?
It's like the Adult Swim format, like the standard, but it works for us because we came from YouTube where we were kind of like so used to doing quick, fast-paced comedy with animation. So it really lends itself well to the 11-minute format, like the kind of comedy we do, because it's so quick, and it's a challenge sometimes. Like Zach said before, we had to cut stuff from like pretty much every episode. So it's a challenge to really like cram everything in, and not make it so it's so quick that it's like you can't follow it, but just keeping the spirit of what we did on YouTube with that kind of fast-paced animation and bringing it to the TV format. It works well for that 11-minute format.
Absolutely, yeah. And I've said it before, but I think the other thing, the only thing I'll add on to that is like I think with streaming now, where people can get, because one of the things we noticed that just independently, Michael and I both noticed when making videos is, if you're a one-man team, or if you have a very, very tiny team, like for us, it was just like, I maybe had a background person or like a help with in-betweens or something, or like a voice actor. But when you're doing everything on your own, it also doesn't make sense if you could tell a story in 2 minutes and it's quicker and you're getting all that information out. Not only does it help you because that's only 2 minutes you have to animate and storyboard and do all this stuff, versus 5 minutes where you're getting the same information out and same jokes out. So it actually it's an advantage. But really what we learned, this was kind of an accident, was people go back and rewatch it because it's only 2 minutes. And so they're going, whoa, that was a lot of information packed into that little tiny window. And so they'll go back and rewatch it. And I find myself doing that. If I see a really good video that's a minute long, I'll watch it, 10 times because I don't know, you absorb it and you like it, but you're like, it's almost leaving people wanting more. And we hope that people could go back and rewatch it on HBO Max when it goes there, and maybe watch it the second or third viewing. You notice something. Oh, I didn't notice that background jumper. I didn't notice, or this whole piece like went over my head, not because it was too smart, but just because it went by too fast or something. So yeah, I think it worked perfectly, and I hope, like, it's basically a half-hour show pushed into 15 minutes, and I think it works really well for what it is.
That is great. This is terrific, gentlemen. And one more thing before I let you go. So you two are very similar to Charlie and Pam. Your goals is to make us smile as we watch this show?
That I actually thought I thought about that after the fact. Like the parallels are kind of interesting. It's like, yeah, I think so, because it felt like the trend right now, which is fine. You know, there's like entertainment goes into different kind of peaks and valleys and trends, but I think like dark comedy and like nihilism has been a big trend in the past few years. Our whole thing was just to try to make like a colorful, bright, smiley show with that contrast of still like the dark humor that we like Zach and I like. It is kind of like just to make people smile and not like Zach said, like if you just knock off work, you're not supposed to cry at the show, or like it's not too heady. It's
like
just
you're not supposed to
laugh.
feel
Like
something.
You're just supposed to laugh. Like that's the ultimate goal in it. If we achieve that, then yeah, if we made you smile, then we're happy. I think there's a little bit of a parallel there, I guess.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was kind of an accident, but it ended up working out for the best.
Well, gentlemen, hey, you guys made a very unique show. So if I turn my camera on, I'm actually smiling. So that's
that's terrific.
We did it. We did it.
That's all we care about.
We did it.
Thank you very much.
okay.
Successful mission.
Thank,